15:46 to go first half. Second-seeded UMass leading 6th-seed Tulsa 9-7. With 15:46 to go. Marcus Camby, of course, such a factor for UMass down the stretch. And the ball will be inbounded, and Rusty Herring, one of our officials, he's joined by Ed Edsall and Bill Kennedy, checking the shot clock. Tulsa wearing blue, UMass in white.
What they did, Vern, is they took a second off the clock, which was a mistake. If it's not controlled in college, the clock doesn't run. Just because it's touched, the clock doesn't start until it's controlled. You know, as you think about Tulsa, Tulsa has a team with Pooh Williamson, the guy with the basketball, and Shea Seals, who are very good off the dribble, just like that. They're the guys that work for Tulsa. You think about UMass, Marcus Camby, Lou Rowe. So you got an inside-outside opposition here. And the question is, who's going to be able to stay out of foul trouble? As you see, Shea Seals is on the bench right now.
Tulsa back in the Sweet 16 for the second time. The champions of the Missouri Valley Conference with a 15-3 record. They come in 24-7 for the year. They actually were defeated in the Missouri Valley tournament by Southern Illinois, so they are in as an at-large team. It was a year ago when Tubby Smith's team got into the round of 16 and they lost to Arkansas en route to Arkansas's national championship. And of course you saw Arkansas win earlier tonight in overtime in Kansas City. They defeated both Illinois and Old Dominion, and that Old Dominion victory very impressive in view of what Old Dominion accomplished with the triple overtime victory over Villanova.
Well, I think a little bit of what Tulsa got accomplished can be somewhat diminished by the fact that triple overtime. But the facts are Tulsa is a team that's good enough to be here. The difference is this year, they believe they should be here. Last year, I think they just got here and was happy to be here.
Here's Marcus Camby, number 21, scores over Rafael Maldonado, number 50. And we'll set the lineups for Tulsa on the floor right now. Craig Hernady, number 41. Both teams have gone to the bench, and Maldonado, number 50. And now we've got an offensive foul called on Tulsa.
Yeah, they called it on Maldonado. It's really for a clear out. Marcus Camby had good position inside. But one of the things I think that Tubby Smith, the coach from Tulsa, has going for him, he has 25 fouls, basically. Like 5 guys he can run in and out, so he can try to wear down both Camby and Rowe.
Edgar Padilla back on the floor now for UMass. He's got the ball, number 12. He left for a short time to have an arch retaped from the corner. Travieso, who's hit a three-pointer, misses, but the rebound is good.
Yeah, Lou Rowe gets it, and Ray Poindexter's got to do a better job of finding Lou Rowe because he's not going to get very far from him.
Pooh Williamson has the ball now, number 11. He is joined by number 5, Poindexter. 42 is J.R. Rollo. Number 15, Cordell Love is on the floor. He's got the ball right now. And that man is Marcus Camby, whom I think most of you know.
But he's long, and he can get to places where he blocks shots. And John Calipari is very fortunate to have somebody like that on his side. But I really like what John Calipari has done with this team. This team believes so much so that they belong in Seattle. They don't talk about anything other but being in Seattle and winning, and that's the approach you got to take.
4th straight year in the NCAAs for UMass. In 1992, they were in the round of 16, lost to a Kentucky team that then fell to Duke 104-103 in overtime in one of the great games ever in college basketball. 13-9 is our score. Here's Padilla going left. UMass with a 28-4 record. And number 1 in the country, ranked so 5 different weeks this year. Camby, foul, roll. 2 of the 4 losses for UMass occurred when Marcus Camby was out with an injury. It's been an interesting season, Quinn.
Well, you know, you can take a look at the list. They've had a number of problems throughout the course of the season. But one of the things I think that John Calipari has to be commended for, one of many things, is taking starting guard Mike Williams and dismissing him from the team. There had been some concern about his behavior, but that's the issue. They have a chance to win a national championship much more so than they do now. They got 3 guards that are all right, but Mike Williams was a big part of what they did. John Calipari said enough is enough. They put him off the team. Now, hopefully, Mike Williams learns from that, and he's better for it. But Massachusetts feels as a team, they're better for it.
Mike Williams was kicked off the team 11 games ago, 10 victories ago. 14 minutes to go. First half, 15-9. UMass has opened a 6-point lead. Here's Williamson. Kwanzaa Johnson, number 23. Here's the scoring threat. Seals a little slow to get off the mark. Long rebound. UMass has it. Padilla, number 12. Directing Camby toward the box. And Camby takes the jumper.
Oh, they got him on the arm. And Poindexter does not even make he doesn't move, so he must have fouled him. I mean, that's how you can tell. If a guy doesn't foul, he would normally raise a lot of cane, either make a face or something, or you get a chance to look. Now, Marcus Camby will turn around. No doubt about it. Hit him right on the arm. That's why it's a short stroke and an elbow, because the arm doesn't follow through. And Ray Poindexter never budged when the official called it, which is somewhat of an indication that the official is correct.
Camby back at the free throw line. He's 2 of 2 so far. Arkansas wins it in overtime, and earlier here, Oklahoma State outlasted top-seeded Wake Forest 71-66. First time in the Elite Eight since 1965.
Oh, that shot had no chance.
Looked like mine.
All right, I'm not saying yours was that good.
No.
You can't give me one.
No. 15-9. There's Seals. 31 points the last time out. Williamson. Off the steal. Chased down by Shea Seals, number 21. Sophomore guard gets it to Williamson. Off the mark. Hamby, whoa.
What a big to get that one.
15-9 UMass. First time these two teams have ever met. Lou Rowe. Poindexter.
One of the things I think you've got to be able to do to win an NCAA championship is you have to be able to change tempo. At this point, Tulsa hadn't been able to change it. This tempo is exactly where Massachusetts wants it to be.
Derek Kellogg gets the ball in his hands now. 12:45, and they'll slow it down for the moment. Camby sets up high. Now gets the entry pass from Kellogg. It's off the underside of the glass, out of bounds. Watch the Camby rebound just a moment ago.
Know that when the ball goes up right there, 21, watch him go and get this rebound. I mean, this is not one that's coming to him. This is one he goes and gets and is able to get it off to his teammate as he goes down. But that's part of what Marcus Camby brings to this team.
Camby with 6 rebound average per game. Here's Rose short with the putback. Dante Dingle, or Dana Dingle gets it, and he's fouled.
Massachusetts is too quick to the ball for Tulsa. I mean, you're watching this, and you would think Tulsa, the best chance Tulsa has is they can run a lot of bodies, but they've got to be able to get to the ball quickly. That's one of the assets I think that UMass has.
Poindexter is going to sit down.
Well, he picked up his 3rd foul. He's going to have to sit down, but just bring in another body and hope you can get some better play. What you lose with Poindexter is he's been a pretty good passer, so you lose some of that. It takes away from the offense.
Greg Hernady is in the lineup down to the 41, and Maldonado's also there as Dingle misses the free throw. Poindexter, 3 quick ones. Make it 2, beg pardon. For 2 at the line. Maldonado with a rebound. 15-9 UMass.
Now you can see right here. See, this is the pace. People fall into their pace. Williamson was going way too fast. You want to be crisp, but you don't want to be in a hurry.
Foul called on Derek Kellogg, senior from Springfield, Massachusetts. That's the 5th team foul. First foul on Kellogg. 12:06 to go first half. Williamson, right side, Hernady. The entry pass from Kwanzaa Johnson, can't hit it. Lou Rowe.
He goes and gets it aggressively. You like Lou Rowe because he works.
Kellogg gets the return pass, cans it for 3.
Tulsa's got a big problem. I mean, they had a smaller problem, obviously, when Rowe and Camby are going, but when you got the guards making, that's inside-outside. Basketball played that way. It's very difficult to defend.
UMass has doubled the score and broken a 9-9 tie. There's the pick and roll with Hernady. That's a pretty good block.
Oh, they've got guys that can set big picks. What they can't get, see, what they can't been able to get from them is scoring. They need some scoring from the big guys.
Rafael Maldonado gets this one, the sophomore from Killeen, Texas. Now here's Padilla. Kellogg, Dingle, Weeks, and Rowe on the floor right now for UMass. shooting Massachusetts at 70-50%. And here's Shea Seals. Got one.
Did a very good job staying under control after the steal.
First basket for the sophomore from Tulsa. First team all MVC, Missouri Valley Conference.
Oh. Quandre Johnson got hit with a shoulder from Lou Rowe that was shaking anybody.
Tyrone Weeks gets that one off the glass. 2013. 10:32 to go. First half of play. Bernady guarded by Lou Rowe.
Look at it. I mean, he can get out on the perimeter and guard. He's about 6'8", big, strong body. You got to like his foot quickness.
Go down to the box now. Here's a steal. Kellogg, 2-on-1.
Oh, they damn pass.
Stripped by Seals. Clean block.
You get a chance to get it. You get it, control the ball. But once you get it down on the other end, get yourself under control so you can get a hoop.
Inbound now, leading 20-13 with 10:06 to go in the first half. Here's Edgar Padilla. Dante Bright is back on the floor, as is Derek Kellogg. Marcus Camby has also rejoined the quintet, and Tyrone Weeks completes the 5.
Well, that gives them a place to go on either side of the block.
There's Camby. It's a pretty good place to go.
Yeah, his arms are so long. I mean, he's 6'11", but he's got long arms, a soft touch, so you can go one side if you got Rowe in, so you're on the right block. The other side, you got Camby.
Back it goes to Quandre Johnson. Number 24, Kevin Brower is on the court now for Tulsa. Rebound, Dante Bright. It's been pretty much an all UMass game thus far. Kellogg, right side. Back to Kellogg.
You can see how the defense closed out on him. Kevin Brower closed out right away on Kellogg after making the three-point shot.
Kellogg works on Brower.
Everybody's feeling it. I mean, from the time that left his hand, that was going in. But Padilla's limping. He's got an arch problem that he's had retaped. That does not go away easily. Tape doesn't only help that one.
And they have signaled timeout because of the injury, and Edgar Padilla is going to take a spot on the bench. Carmelo Travieso comes in.
What they have is you got a guy injured, and the officials let him out of the game. Is really what that one is, because you don't want anybody out here playing on those kind of injuries, because you can see he's in obvious pain. He's been a factor because you get the ball to him, he's been able to make shots. I mean, he steps out right now very confidently and sticks that one, but he hurt his foot trying to support himself coming down.
Kellogg. Whoa, strong move.
Great move because of the ball fake. Just froze Maldonado.
26-13. Shea Seals, 2 points so far in the ball game. To Williamson, off the mark. Tulsa's really cold.
But they're taking tough shots. That shot was almost out of his hand before he got to where he wanted to get into his jump. I mean, it's too quick. The rhythm is just not what Tulsa wants.
Back it comes to Travieso. 4 of 19 from the field now for Tulsa. Underneath, Dante Bright. 28-13.
It's tough that they don't even have, Lou Rowe's not in the game. I mean, Tulsa just doesn't have any answers. That's a bad shot to take because he was never ready to take it, or he would have taken it the first time.
Long rebound. Marcus Camby. Blocked by Hernady. Camby off the glass, tip. Tulsa ball. But UMass has a 15-point lead with time called.
A tradition unlike any other, the Masters on CBS Sports.
Yes, sir!
When the chance came to work at Saturn, part of a new crew, I hoped what I'd heard was true. For every step of the way, the people who build the cars are responsible, and they can make a judgment. Maybe that's why October 12th is a day I'll never forget.
Are you suggesting that John's a little tight?
I'm saying he's involved.
All right, so UMass up early now over Tulsa, 31-15, 5:49 left before halftime. We'll keep track of that game for you and send you down now to Kansas City out in the Midwest at Kemper Arena, for Virginia and Kansas about to get underway. Jim Nantz and Billy Packer at courtside.
Yes, indeed. Next on the Friday night card, Virginia and Kansas from Kemper Arena. Already Arkansas has advanced in overtime. You know, last night, 2 1 seeds made it to the Elite Eight, both UCLA and Kentucky. But tonight, the 1 in the East, Wake Forest ousted by a 4, Oklahoma State. We have that same combo here. Virginia a 4 here against the 1 seed Kansas. And Billy Packer, if Virginia's going to spring the upset here, how are they going to do it?
Well, they usually do it down on the inside, Jim. They have a young man named Junior Burrow, only 6'8", going up against 7-footers tonight. But he has about the best footwork of any pivot man I've seen in college basketball this year. Very much like Corliss Williamson, powers down on the inside, had a great ACC tournament, and of course is picked up from in the NCAA just as he left off in the ACC tournament. But tonight, Jim, he's going up against 2 centers. The first one, the leading shot blocker in the history of the Big 8. Greg Ostertag, you see him knocking one away there. He also has an ability to finish off on the inside. He's big and strong, and then coming right in behind him is Pollard. Not only a shot blocker, but a guy with a little bit more quickness.
Kansas with tremendous size with that combination, but you also talk about the Jayhawk backcourt. Jared Haas and point man Jacque Vaughn.
Well, here's Vaughn making those great decisions, just as we saw Corey Beck in the first game. He looks at the trap, picks up a solid screen. Now he makes another decision-making process. He sees Haas out on the side. He sees another opportunity to penetrate down the middle and kick out. So here, tremendous decisions by Vaughn. Good ball handling. Ends up with a perfect three-point shot opportunity.
Vaughn and Haas in the backcourt for Kansas. For Virginia, Curtis Staples and Harold Dean. The centers, Alexander and Ostertag. Burrow and Williford up front for the Cavs. Pearson and LaFrentz for Kansas. Jayhawks 25-5, the 1 seed in this regional. Virginia 24-8. Cavaliers with a share of the ACC regular season title. The first piece of the crown since back in 1983.
And Jim, we have seen Kansas at CBS this year at their greatest moment, and
their lowest.
And one of their lowest, of course, in Bloomington, Indiana. They got worn out and took on Connecticut here that was #1 at the time and blew them out. Man-to-man,
Junior Burrow. Rattles the first one off the rim. He's been on some kind of tear lately, though.
But he had not made a three-point shot all year long. Only took 2. Started out this game with a long 3. Great man.
Harold Dean over Vaughn. Vaughn got lost on a screen for a moment. First 2 to the Cavaliers.
You're exactly right. LaFrentz stepped out, Jim, as if he was going to pick up on the switch and just let him go. Ostertag and Burrow on the inside, throwing a lot of meat on each other. There's the solid screen in the hedge by Burrow, handled much better than we saw on the other end of the floor.
A rare miscue for Jacque Vaughn. Jeff Jones, 35 years old, 5th year at Virginia. Outstanding record, 104 and 56. Former captain of the Wahoos. Doubled up. Yep. Burrow now pulled up over Ostertag.
You can see the plan of attack by Jeff Jones. He's going to take Burrow a little bit further outside, make Ostertag come out to guard him. Boy, Ostertag just using those big meat hook arms, slapping people around inside.
Prince in and out. And Williford with a good rebound for Virginia.
Williford a little bit quicker than Pearson so far. That's 2 rebounds he's had, 1 on each end of the floor. You see Burrow making Ostertag play outside as a forward.
Burrow thought about challenging Ostertag. Forces the mix-up. Staples gets it over somehow to Alexander. 5 on the shot clock. Burrow will take it in time. Shot clock not reset because Kansas never had possession.
Yep.
Pearson, 3-pointer.
Key for Kansas is Pearson. Jim, having to hit some shots from the outside. He did it in the second game.
Look at Dean driving. Yes, off the glass. UVA 6-0. 2.5 in.
Person had 17 against Western Kentucky, but only 2 for 10 against Colgate. He had been in a slump.
Ostertag double O. Too strong. LaFrance. Wow. Swatted away big time by Williford.
That's the third good leap that Williford has made in this game. 2 rebounds and a shot block. There's no way LaFrance could have known he was coming from the opposite side. Perfect block.
Swiped it right off the palm. All ball.
And Jim, here's that change you talked about at the top of the show. Pollard in for Ostertag. A little bit more quickness now for Burrow. Dean, an excellent defender. He's taken on the likes of Travis Best, all the great guards in the Atlantic Coast Conference, and he plays them head up.
Under 10 now on the shot clock. Pollard will take the flip and gets the bounce off the front of the rim. 6-2 Virginia.
Pollard, 2 solid games so far in the NCAA tournament. 13 against Colgate, 12 and 11 against Western Kentucky.
Williford, nowhere to go with that once he committed himself airborne.
Pass out on the side, waiting for a 3.
Pollard again inside. 6-4.
Young man from Utah looks like he's ready to wind it up, doesn't he?
Now you talk about strong play off the bench.
Neither Staples nor Dean have done much from the outside, and that's what Staples has got to be counted on. Tremendous three-point shooter.
Slicing through a hole, setting up Pearson way too strong. Long board to Staples. Jones gets the attention of Dean. Set a play.
Staples 4 for 13 in the first tournament game, and then 5 for 14 in the other. They've got to have him hitting.
Foul called against Williford and the under 16 timeout. Seven overtime games, with that one between Arkansas and Memphis tonight, and that's an all-time tournament record. Kentucky and Carolina tomorrow for the Final Four. UCLA and UConn for a spot on the Final Four tomorrow.
Full court pressure. Pollard, just as we saw in the opening of our show, setting that solid screen for Vaughn.
B.J. Williams, number 22, in for Kansas. Kick and a reset. Here's Roy Williams, who hasn't really been feeling all that well this week. Had a 102-degree fever a couple of days ago, bronchitis. Had to sit in the bleachers. Kansas practiced at Allen Fieldhouse on Wednesday, just staying away from his players. Want to pass it on.
Okay, here we go. Certainly familiar with Virginia with the many years he spent at Carolina and the ACC. Some of the great battles during that period of time when Jeff Jones was at Virginia as a player, even not just as a coach. He was in the Ralph Sampson era. Great matchups with the University of North Carolina, including the Final Four.
All Virginia around that rebound. That rebound pulled down by Yuri Barnes, 6'8" senior from Richmond, entering the game. Burrow, Jim called on Pollard.
Jim, there's that footwork I talked about. It's got great drop steps on the inside. Spins right on by. Crossover dribble with the hands. Does slip. A little bit of a contact. Actually, there's more contact than there was more of a slip than there was a foul, but Pollard picks it up.
Hey, here we go. Bump with the hip. Sent him off balance.
That's one thing that Roy Williams can handle. He has fouls to give in the post position. He's got a switch here. Dean can take Pearson.
Staples, three-point man extraordinaire. Hit the ball. Short.
Pollard got a piece of that.
DJ off the bench. Rounds it up for the Jayhawks. Inside the arc for two. 6-all. First 6 to Virginia. Back comes Kansas to tie it.
Williams getting in early. just not giving Staples any looks at all for his three-point shooting. Pass all over him. There was a double screen set for him.
Dean up high with that one. Barnes on the long rebound. Back up. Pollard with position on the board. Pass ahead. Pass, who hasn't really been involved in the offense much so far. All oxygen with that jumper.
Well, both Haas and Staples playing each other for the jump shot.
Traveling.
Pollard asking to come out with that clenched fist. Ostertag right back in for him.
Billy Thomas, number 12, also comes into the Kansas lineup. Jamal Robinson, number 13, in for Virginia for the first time tonight.
Thomas exploded against Colgate in 24 minutes at 19 points, 4 threes. So look for him to start getting things going outside.
6.5 minutes into this game, and not a single point from the Kansas starters. Game tied 6-all. Ahead, Staples in for 2.
Haas didn't realize where Staples was. He just on a blind screen tried to do something.
Three-pointer off the mark there for Thomas. And over the back on Kansas.
There was a case, Jim, of scouting. Jeff Jones, realizing that Thomas would pull up and take a three, was screaming from the bench to get his guys to recognize where he was. You see that cast on Jeff's hand, punched the blackboard after a loss to Maryland. And he says he's not going to take it off now until they lose.
I don't think I would either. He thought they would have collapsible backboards there at Maryland with Coach Williams.
Yeah.
Norman Nolan, number 25 for Virginia, is also seeing action now. First time tonight.
Another power player.
Staples.
That quick three, still not getting anything to go. Pretty good defense against him.
On surveying. Jump stop, puts it up. Ostertag. Blocked once, not the second time, though.
Or the third. Really actually had it 3 times before he put it away. Power dunker.
8 up. That's the first 2 points of the game for Kansas starting lineup. It's 6 off the bench before that one. Robinson, quick release, but LaFrance there with that one.
So far, Virginia has not had an easy opportunity except that lay-in by Staples on the break. Every shot has been contested nicely by Kansas. Not surprising. They have a great field goal percentage defense.
Look at Staples steal it. Blocks out Haas with the body for the uncontested 2, really. 10-8 Virginia.
Both of these teams play great defense.
The French baseline.
Move. One of the top freshmen in the country. Rookie of the year in the Big 8. Young man from Iowa. Everybody wanted to recruit.
What does Ostertag have Nolan blocked out there for position?
Well, you can see Jeff Jones wanting to put his big bodies against, he can't afford to have Burroughs just wear down against the Ostertag-Pollard combination.
Dean looks to reset, but he's got 3 on the shot clock. Gets it away in time. Yes, 3-pointer.
Boy, that was a brilliant play, wasn't it? He knew exactly where he was.
But they beat him at the other end.
He didn't get back. He took the shot and admired it.
A 13-12 lead for the Cavaliers.
Jim, that was really Robinson that probably should have pulled back here to give some defensive balance.
Nolan working against a much bigger man.
Deans goes back inside. Nolan take the ball right to the shot blocker.
Dean 3 again. Robinson. Tipped up by Nolan. Kept alive, but out to Vaughn.
Seems that Virginia's trying to avoid getting the shot blocked. I think you got to take it right to Ostertag's chest. Try to occupy the space.
Look at Ostertag backing in. Right back to him. Tough to stop that one.
An outstanding player.
Kansas has its first lead of the night.
He understands his limits. Roy Williams uses him perfectly.
Boy, we get our first taste now of this Kansas City crowd. Staples 3. Silence him for the moment.
Jimmy's got the quick release and loves to come out even against his body and get that shot off.
Vaughn, wraparound pass. And Robinson rejects it. At the same time, commits the foul.
And I think we have a contact lens lost on that one. I haven't seen that in a long time, Jim, have you? I think it's the first one of the year.
No, but don't anybody move. Seal off the area. And this was the one, the previous trip. 7-2. This is pretty unstoppable.
He gets hit in the head here on this. How about this pass? Vaughn curls it back behind him and right down and hit him in the eye. There was the scrape.
You have such a great eye for what's going on the floor. I thought you might illustrate the contact coming out.
I think it looks like it was still in his eye. You can see him squinting there. I believe that was the case.
Soft or a hard lens?
No, but he went down to the floor on it. Off to a good start here tonight. Going to the foul line where he only shoots 56%. You're almost better off grabbing him and fouling him in there, Jim, if you can afford the fouls and don't let him get away those easy two-point dunks. So strong. 2 shots for the man. Where's the size 18 sneaker? I like that story about him talking to Roy Williams and said, I had a dream the other night that I had been drafted by the NBA and then also that you were going to be my coach. And Roy said, no, thank you. That would be a nightmare having to be with you the rest of my life. He is a playful big guy, but not a good free throw shooter. Burrow back in there now. See if he takes Ostertag outside. Tries to use him a little bit.
Hand check, says Jim Haney, and that's against Vaughn, his first. How big was that call in the first game? Hand check, huh? Well, they'll take the under 12 timeout. It went all the way down to 9:39. 14 of Virginia's 16 from the backcourt. Numbers are identical, but not the backcourt points. Dean and Staples with 7 each. Jim, one of the things about both of these ball clubs is their offensive shooting percentage and defensive shooting percentage is incredible. And for Kansas, it's +11. They shoot 48%, hold their opponents to 37%. That's as good as you can do. Ostertag and Haas on the bench. There's that movement. Strong with the shot, but Burrow tips it up. Boy, great footwork on the part of Burrow. With Haas and Ostertag on the bench, Greg Gurley seeing his first action, number 33. Puts LaFrance in the low post where he's got that turnaround left-handed move. Thomas, long ranger. Rejected. Williford again. Second block of the night for Williford coming from the weak side. Burrow doubled up, threw it right in the arms of Vaughn, who saves it into the bench. Here he comes. Guy plays more minutes than anybody that's played for Roy Williams. Can go 35, 36 minutes a game. Thomas left open, firing another one. LaFrance straight up, right back up with it. LaFrance raising his fist, asking to come out. I think there's a lot of punishment going on inside, Jim, if these guys are getting tired that quickly. Dangerous. Robinson. Who comes off the floor to get that one back. Robinson very quick. Williford swats it out of bounds. And 4 subs come in for Roy Williams, including for the first time C.B. McGrath, number 24 at the point. Now, as far as tomorrow's action, UCLA and UConn, one of them will secure the first spot in Seattle, 3:40 Eastern time tip time, and then the Birmingham Southeast Regional Final, Carolina, Kentucky. Of course, both of those teams impressive getting there. UCLA putting on quite a show
George Zidek, Eric Dampier. I thought that was quite a battle on the inside. Zidek showing he can hold his own.
At Carolina and Kentucky, the two programs with the most wins in NCAA history playing tomorrow. Kansas third all-time right here tonight.
Not a good pass by Duke.
Pearson touched it last. Kansas 0 for 5 from three-point land. And now the under 8 timeout. 18-16 Virginia's. College basketball history. Here are the tournament wins, though. UCLA, Carolina. 4 of those programs still alive. Duke was not in this year's tournament, but Coach K, we hear, will be joining us in Seattle. 5 count against Virginia.
Nobody guarding the man taking the ball out of bounds and added it up. Coach K, great to see him back, and of course you won't figure it's going to be too long before Duke is also back in the NCAA tournament run. Incredible year for them this year. Seem to lose every close game.
Kraft.
And boy, they cannot get anything to go from the perimeter. And at this point, Kansas getting much better shots from there than is Virginia, but not making them. McGrath wanting to spell Vaughn for a few minutes. He's out there hanging on to Dean, no call.
Staples. That is a quick release.
It's one of the most unusual jump shots going, but it is absolutely quick. I mean, he just gets it right up in his face and lets it fly. They're just trying to get their motion offense going. A lot of screens down inside. McGrath screening.
Pearson. Pass. Inactive so far. From Williams.
Williford doing an excellent job on the boards. Had a great game this year against Georgia Tech and one of Virginia's best wins. There's that quick release again.
Staples follows it off the glass. And Virginia with its largest lead, a 7-point lead, up 12 from Staples.
There's Williford again, another deflection. Kansas looking to find somebody can get it going from the outside. So far, Staples doing a good job on Haas.
Fresh 5 for Kansas. Ostertag, Gurley coming back. Thomas, Vaughn, and LaFrentz.
Jim, when you look at the score up there, 6:02 to go, this is a Virginia-style game. Kind of like we saw the Oklahoma State-Wake Forest style night. Kansas would like to play a game up in the 80s, even the 90s. Virginia would like to keep it down in the 60s or low 70s.
Vaughn, that was almost dropped, though. LaFrentz.
Yuri Barnes got a piece of that last one, committed the foul. Jim, one of the things that everybody, I think, if they had a shot at what was going on in the NCAA tournament selection this year, talked about Kansas getting to come right here to Kemper. It's not that, and Roy Williams got tired of the question, but when you look at it, Kansas is 4-0 in Kemper in the NCAA. You talked earlier to me about what was the last overtime game, and back in '86 they beat Michigan State in overtime, then NC State to move on to the Final Four. They also, of course, in their greatest moment here in this arena back in '88, one of the real great performances I've ever seen was Danny Manning in that Final Four, beating Duke and then Oklahoma on this very court. That, what was it, 51-51 at halftime?
Initially, because I remember I was doing halftime. It was 50-50.
50 to 50.
The 50th Final Four.
How about that? I remember saying there's no way Kansas can win this game if they keep playing at this pace, and they kept right on going. Larry Brown taking that team to a national crown. Terrific performance.
Virginia up 7. And a hold called on Vaughn. That's his second.
Now, one of the things that Kansas players are going to find out, that Harold Dean is one of the toughest, hard-nosed players in the country at his position. So it doesn't do any good to try to get physical with him.
Kansas with wins over Colgate and Western Kentucky in the tournament. Jayhawks' largest tournament deficit was 6 early in the game against Colgate, but now down 7.
Early on a good switch.
Roy Williams up off the bench, looking inside. Barnes.
Now, Roy Williams is saying that Virginia's pushing off. He's going to get himself a little technical if he doesn't sit down. Nice piece of officiating right here because they're ignoring him. And he's saying Virginia's setting solid screens with their hands. Barnes and another good move on the inside. And there's what I was talking about. Take the ball right to Ostertag's chest. Don't try to avoid him.
So Ostertag.
Roy Williams still shouting on the sideline.
That's the first on Ostertag. Barnes with another one.
Competitive young man from the state of North Carolina. Grew up with ACC heritage. Worked at North Carolina. I can remember when he was an assistant there. Jim, I mentioned it to some people today. Used to sell calendars to help supplement his salary. So people got to forget about guys getting the coaching business to make a lot of money.
He was the intramural director at the University of North Carolina for about 10 years.
Coached the JV team. Now they're starting to call the hand checking. This is something officials, because both of these teams got a lot of strong guys, better get aware of. Ostertag in there using the... Now, Yuri Barnes gets called for the foul on this one.
Barnes is second. Burrow comes back after a quick breather.
Alexander back in there on the France. Alexander wrapping his hands around. Now here's the official going in, trying to get these guys to take it easy.
I thought maybe he found Ostertag's contact lens.
Well, if he did, he just scraped it into the woodwork.
Under 5 to go first half, and that's a violation.
Thomas had no chance with that one. Ostertag.
Not realizing everybody's not 7-2 out there.
Yeah, well, I think that, you know, if he'd have settled down and made a little bit better pivot, he'd have had a better angle for the pass. Very unusual game. Kansas cannot get a run going here, at least not up to this point.
Look at that pass. Williford under the cylinder. Virginia.
Good help out by Kansas. Williford had that easy layup if he'd have gone on the right-hand side of the basket.
Well, he went over there just to make sure they fall through.
Well, that was kind of like Corey Beck when he missed that free throw. He wanted to go down and figured that that was cost him a ball game and shot a layup to see if it'd go through that basket.
Haas is back in. Haas has not scored in this game.
Staples doing an excellent job on him, Jim, just not letting him get free.
He averages 15. He's the leading scorer for the Jayhawks. Over the top. Ostertag for 2.
Excellent pass.
Kansas, before that bucket, had only one field goal in the last 5.5 minutes.
It's going to be on Ostertag. He can't handle him when he puts the ball on the floor from 15 feet.
That's number 2.
A very nice move by Jeff Jones here, forcing Ostertag to come out and try to guard Burroughs from the forward position, and Burroughs just goes right around him.
Replaced by Pollard, and Dean comes back in. Dean.
Somebody's caught on a switch here.
Yep, LaFrance is on Dean.
Good job by Haas coming out there and preventing Staples from getting off that quick jumper.
They got Jock Vaughn and Chris Alexander. Rejected by Pollard.
Beautiful block by Pollard.
Vaughn steps up. 25-20 Virginia.
Ezra Vaughn is so tough. You know, you normally think he's going to take it all the way or dish off. Pulls up and hits the jumper, the crowd into it. They don't want to go inside to Alexander. He's getting open.
Staples. All Kansas underneath for that one. Vaughn surveys again. Bounce over. Burrow. Oh, I thought Burrow touched that line in.
Too, Jim. I thought that he did, and it looks like they counted LaFrance hitting his hand.
All right, Cavaliers have led by as many as 9. It's now 5. 3:14 to go first half.
Clark Kellogg and George Raveling in our New York studios. Kansas in a little bit of trouble with 3:14 left in the half. Let's go out to East Rutherford and check in on Tulsa and UMass. And gentlemen, UMass mistake prone here in the second half, Clark.
Yeah, and they still have a 17-point lead, led 18, had a little bit of an air pocket where they struggled handling the ball, but they've got too much size, too much ammo, unless Tulsa can get going.
A little bit of an opening here for Tulsa, Coach?
I think so. Traditionally, Tulsa's the second half team. Shea Seals has had 5 games this season, Pat, where he scored 20 or more points in the second half. I expect them to have a big second half.
All right, we'll check in on this game during your halftime. Meantime, let's go back to Kansas City and Kemper Arena. Virginia and Kansas and Jim Nantz and Billy Packer.
You know, coming into the Sweet 16, there were only 2 teams that were unranked in the final AP poll. Memphis put up such a valiant try tonight, and Tulsa.
Jim, here the shooting woes from the foul line continue.
0 for 5 for Kansas, which had been almost 79% at the Dayton site last week.
But only 66% on the year. And they're going to pick up full court. A double team, LaFrance, super job. You see the double team right here. The ball gets stuck by Dean. It goes off his thigh.
No basket. Hold outside on Staples.
This is an excellent move by Kansas. Dropping right back in. Going on the foul line.
That's only the
6 for both.
Sixth. Yeah, 1 away from the bonus. 2:42 to go first half. Kansas has scored the last 5.
Sooner or later, they're going to hit something from outside. There was everybody on Alexander doing a great job on the block out, but none of his teammates came for the ball.
He was really off balance.
Yeah.
So into that lockout.
And a situation there where a rebound could have been controlled that had already hit the floor.
Thomas out, Pearson in.
And Roy Williams trying to find somebody who can make a jump shot tonight.
Pass.
He's been face guarded all night by Staples.
As silent as you'll see him in a half. Pearson.
I don't understand why they're trying to shoot these threes.
Kansas 0 for 8 from beyond the arc. Dumping it inside. Alexander doesn't score much. Burrow and 1.
Jim, there's the thing that we saw on the last play was whenever somebody's going to hedge out front defensively, as LaFrance has been doing, Pollard's been doing, the man that's setting the screen needs to go straight to the basket. When he fades out, it's easy for the defense to recover. Virginia was able to take advantage of it there.
Burrow in 2 games at the ACC tournament against Georgia Tech. He had 36, 31 in a loss to Wake. 3-point play here. The 67 points tied your old partner in the backcourt, Lenny Chappell's 2-game ACC tournament scoring mark of 67 points.
And of course that was, well, there's an offensive foul by Vaughn on the peel move with his arm, but got by with it.
Really directed that with the left arm, pushing off. No call. 28-23 Cavaliers.
And then, Jim, what you were talking about, that record, Randolph Childress just exploded and broke both their records
for the 3-game
total. Yeah.
Williford fought by Pearson when he went up for the putback. He must have had a few assists in that effort by Chappell.
I don't know. There's the offensive foul by Vaughn. He gets by with it. I'll tell you something else interesting about that record, Jim. You'll see what I'm talking about right here. It's an offensive foul. When you use your hand on the curl move, Vaughn should have been called for the foul. He got by with it. Interesting. 1957, right here in Kansas City, North Carolina beat Kansas for a national championship.
Triple OT.
Lenny Rosenbluth, of course, on that ball club. He's the guy that previously had set the record that Randolph Childress broke for 3-game totals in the Atlantic Coast Conference Tournament. So it lasted a long, long time.
One more, Williford.
Pollard doing a nice job on the boards. Kansas still looking for somebody to hit a jump shot.
Over the top. was there.
Perfect set play with a back screen set up by Pearson. He just didn't catch the ball.
No look pass. Burrow, 2 men around him. No ball. Thought they might call a tie-up. Kansas on a break. Pass. Man, it's the floor hard.
Wow, did he go down?
Do you need help? Yeah, buddy. Okay.
He says, yeah, I do.
Right there.
Boy, did he hit that floor.
Come on now. Gotta go. Here.
Tough kid. Transfer from the University of California. Of course, he played in outstanding wins that they had against Duke University. Sat out the year and back. See how he goes down. Really hit hard.
John Clockerty asked him, do you need help? He said, yeah, I do. Well, he's already back up at the free throw line, ready to shoot a couple.
Hard-nosed kid. Kansas has had an excellent situation with transfers. Ricky Callaway, Rex Walters, and now Haas.
First point for the leading scorer for the Jayhawks, who played his last game at Cal. He was a starter there in the NCAA tournament in a Sweet 16 game against Kansas. And then transferred to Kansas. 28-25, final minute, first half.
Nolan pushing inside with LaFrance.
Dean and one. Wow.
I said he's tough, Jim. He is a hard-nosed kid. McGrath got it right in the chin. Dean took that on as a challenge. He just put his shoulder in and watch this quick move. Blew by him. McGrath trying to hang on, and then he explodes right into his chest. He is strong.
Rocked the jaw there of McGrath, and Dean puts it back to 6.
Time for Virginia to get the ball back, even if Kansas wants to hold it towards the end. Get Nolan trying to hold up Pollard on the cutback. He does go the foul line now. Virginia will hold it for the last shot.
And it'll be a 1-and-1 for Pollard. Coming up, Pennzoil at the half. Back to Penn O'Brien. Special K along with Coach Raveling from our Studio 43 in New York. There for the latter stages of UMass and Tulsa. Pollard a 1-and-1. 32 seconds to go in the half. Pollard has 4 brothers, at least 6'10", a sister 6'2". His father played basketball at University of Utah. Now, Cavaliers, for the last shot.
McGrath is going to be on Dean, and he's not going to worry about committing a foul either. Playing him tough, trying to contain. Virginia goes to a 1-4 set with 4 on the baseline.
Curley comes out to double up. Dean, Owen Williford ran past the bounce pass. Errant pass from Norman Nolan. 9 seconds for the Jayhawks.
Jim, that's a great move by Roy Williams, going out and double teaming, jumping on a double team, knowing somebody wants to hold it to the end. Dean's going to sit down so he doesn't pick up a cheap foul.
Ostertag comes in, maybe for a late tip in as the buzzer approaches.
You know, sometimes it's so difficult to be holding the ball for the last shot and not take advantage if somebody does something to you to explode inside and score.
Percy Ellsworth picked off on a screen by Pollard. On. Three-pointer to go into the locker room. Boy, that's a big one.
That was the big move by Kansas to come out and double team against the team holding the ball. Big turnover for Virginia.
Virginia led by as many as 9. But they've got the Mo going into the locker room. Vaughn nailing the 3. Young man, you like to have the ball in the hands of certain guys, and he's one of them. Billy, that's the end of the first half with the score. Virginia 31, Kansas 29. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA basketball tournament will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
This is the Grand Prix you were born for. 24 valve, 210 horsepower engine.
Michael Jordan.
2 times when you may assume a game is over. When Red Auerbach lights his cigar and Julius Erving waves his cap to the crowd.
And that's his son, Corey, that's walking up in front of him as Julius is leaving. I wonder if he gets a chance to come to the game Sunday, or does he have some other task?
I bet those other folks are going to insist he show up.
Yeah, I guess they should.
They're nasty that way, huh?
They're going to miss a good game. Marcus Camby's playing. He may be playing. He's going to miss a good game.
Doc had a call from Dick Ebersol there. It said, get some sleep. You got a big day tomorrow. Anyway, UMass leads 61-38 now. And earlier today, the 7th overtime of this tournament. That's a record, by the way. Arkansas beat Memphis. Ooh, it was a squeaker again, 96-91. The faithful hoping to go wild. Alex Diller with a hot hand early for Arkansas. Hits his 3rd tray of the game, and Nola Richardson says, come on, guys, but Memphis fights back.
Down 15, Lorenzen Wright with the thunder. Mark it up. Mingo Johnson had a career night, knocking down threes. He brings the rain from triple-point range.
Then this controversial play. Chris Garner with a hand check on Corey Beck. Called for a foul, sending Beck to the line to win the game. Beck hit 1 of 2, tying the game. And afterwards, Larry Finch, very upset about that call.
Makes me mad. 4 seconds left on the doggone clock, and you call a doggone touch foul right there. We've been mugged all night. It's ridiculous. I see why guys go off when they get up on this podium. It's ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. This is the National Basketball Tournament. This is ridiculous.
You know, and if you're him, you hate to lose a game on a call, and I think a lot of people think that's a cheap call at this point in the game.
Well, I think between the circles, obviously that has been a point of emphasis all season long, the hand check. And when it's that blatantly obvious, despite the situation, you've got to make the call. I mean, it's too obvious a hand check call there.
As a coach?
Patty, the fundamental question here is, was it a foul or was it not a foul? It was obviously a foul. Should it have been called at that juncture in the game? Perhaps not.
Let him play, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Earlier today, Wake Forest was defeated by Oklahoma State, big country, and the Cowboys beat them 71-66, the final there. Now, let's set tomorrow's lineup for you. It begins at 12:30 Eastern time with NCAA Men's Division II National Championship, Southern Indiana versus UC Riverside. Then at 3 o'clock Eastern, we'll be here for the road to the Final Four, followed by a regional finals doubleheader. UConn against UCLA out west, tip time 3:40 Eastern. Then at 6 o'clock Eastern, North Carolina and Kentucky will battle for the right to represent the Southeast in the Final Four. Some quick injury notes on that game. The Wildcats are concerned that guard Tony Delk, their leading scorer, has come down with a flu-like symptom today, but he is expected to start tomorrow. For the Tar Heels, Jeff McGinnis is nursing a sore groin sustained in last night's victory. He didn't practice, but he is expected to start. McGinnis' backcourt mate, Donald Williams, suffering from chronic tendonitis in his ankle, did practice and will start. So those are our games tomorrow. Thanks for watching Pennzoil at the Half. Hope you enjoy the second half here on CBS. We'll continue to argue these games for you and maybe see you a little bit later, okay?
Pennzoil at the Half was sponsored by Pennzoil, an official NCAA corporate partner. State, Sprint, and by All Sport Body Quencher.
Again, the halftime score here, Virginia 31, the 1 seed in the Midwest, Kansas 28, 31-28. Jim Nance, Billy Packer back here. And Billy, before we get back into that situation about the end of the first half, we'll show it right now, and then we're going to explain situations in which an official can look at a replay one more time.
Well, here's Jock Bond shooting the shot. One official raised his hand for a 3.
John Clockerty, he called it a 3, but Ted Hillary said he dragged the foot.
Exactly.
It was a 2.
And overruled and said, no, it was a 2-point shot, which is what it turned out to be. And they changed the decision right there. The only controversy could be is that people who saw the referees and request to look at the television, the referees do not have the right to look at television for that type of a judgment call. The kind of a scorer's error they have the right to look at is when a point has been added or deleted from the scorebook.
Added by the official score.
Exactly, the official score, not a judgment call on whether it's a 3 or not. But everything is where it ought to be. It was a 2-point shot.
It is indeed.
We start off at 31-28. Very low-scoring game, Virginia style.
That's Ted Hillary talking to Jacques Vaughn. Hillary's the one who overruled the 3 and called it a 2.
And what you want is for it to be what was the honest and the right call to make, and that's what the officials did. Man-to-man, and here they go, second half. See if anybody from Kansas can get something going on the perimeter. They were 0 for 8 from 3.
Ooh, they had 3 men around Ostertag. Now they steal it.
Ostertag down. Now here's a chance to get a 5-on-4 situation down floor.
Into Burrow, defense, starting, and a hold call against Kansas.
That was a terrific move on the part of Virginia, knowing Ostertag was down the other end of the floor. Pump into Burroughs.
Pearson hit with the foul. Billy, Kansas in the paint in the first half.
Well, 6 for 10, but look at what happened on the perimeter. It's what I was talking about. They just did not hit anything out there. 0 for 8 from 3.
Jacques Vaughn hit 3 shots from the guard spot, but Jared Haas 0 for 1. Only 1 field goal attempt.
Billy Thomas 0 for 5. Sean Pearson 0 for 3. Burrow jumper. A little bit beyond his range. But they're trying to pull Ostertag out.
Pearson can't find a handle. Second time that happened tonight for Kansas. Pollard had a alley-oop slip through his hands earlier. Here's Kansas 3-point
well, that's
shooting.
what we talked about, Jim. 0 for 8 from 3. Kansas got to find somebody. Haas is the man, but he just can't get any good looks because Staples is right on him. Pearson not having a good game, Jim, and he's a guy that's been in the slump with the exception of the last ball game. Nice curl move that time.
Oh, hard.
Took it right at Ostertag. What you do to a shot blocker, take it to him. Don't try to avoid him.
Number 3 on 0-0.
Jim Burrows had some incredible games this year against outstanding defensive players. Like against Maryland, 24-11. North Carolina, 22-14. Florida State, 26-19. That's going up against some of the top inside defensive pivot men in the country, and he has exploded.
Ostertag to the bench with the 3. Pollard in. And Burrow, senior out of Charlotte, North Carolina, hits the front end of the first one. Burrow is the second all-time rebounder at Virginia, behind Ralph Sampson.
Burrow played obviously with Corey Alexander, who's out and hurt, but Ben Davis, who went to Kansas and then now transferred to Arizona. A little bit of controversy before this NCAA tournament. They were all on the same club at Oak Hill.
Pearson was Sting, drawing a foul at the other end.
Good idea by Pearson, not getting anything going on the perimeter, tries to put it on the floor. Create something.
Williford on the hack. Pace of play in this game favoring Virginia.
Certainly, Jim. It's a game to be played in the 60s or 70s. Kansas would like to explode out, get their running game going, get their perimeter game going. And to say something about the defensive tenacity of these two teams, in the last 102 games, Virginia has only had 5 opponents shoot over 50%. So between them and Kansas, they just don't give you good looks.
Kansas hasn't had a team shoot 50% from the floor in its last 38 contests.
Right. Both teams just do it on that defensive end. That's where your consistency comes from. That's why these two programs have been so outstanding. Solid screen. Vaughn got hit on the shoulder. I'll tell you, there is some real body bruising in there on those screens.
Think about some of the other bruises, like the one inflicted on Haas in the first half.
Virginia drops back. You can see the game is being played half court at a time. Oklahoma State style. Great eye contact between LaFrentz and Vaughn. And here's where that home crowd advantage should really help Kansas.
Staples. 2 out of 5 from three-point land is Staples tonight. Pearson on a wing wide. Ooh,
wow, air ball.
All oxygen again.
And that's, you know, that's Kansas basketball. That's what killed Connecticut. Vaughn's great penetration, kickouts to the side, but they were hitting them that day.
Dean just walks it up. 32-30 Virginia. In they go. Burrow, 8-footer. Alexander skying. Puts it up. No. It's in. What a tip by Burrow.
Great hustle play by Burrow. That exhausted him right there. He's tired getting back down court. Get it into LaFrentz while he's tired.
Rejected. Alexander got a piece of it.
That was very good move by Kansas. You got a tired postman in there. They went right inside. And here is why Burrow was so tired. Look at where he comes from, Jim. He's 20 feet away from the basket when that shot went up, and it ran right down the center and put it back in.
Chris Alexander, number 3 on Alexander with that last foul. Pearson out, Thomas in.
And you can see the frustration from Roy Williams. Thomas comes back in the game, Jim. He's trying to find somebody that can make a jump shot.
Kansas 33% from the line tonight. And falling.
Kind of amazing. Every phase of the game, Roy's sitting there saying, I can't believe this. But kind of surprising. Kansas does best when they shoot worse from the free throw line.
Yeah, through the years, through the Roy Williams years, yeah.
Yep.
Remember the 91 team that made it to the championship game in Duke's first title. That team for Kansas was just barely over 60% from the line.
Good recovery by Vaughn. Staples was ready for a 3.
Burrow. They'll call Pollard for it.
Might be Thomas on a reach.
It is. Thomas.
Yep.
His first.
You know, Jim, you think the winner here goes on to Seattle. And for Kansas in 52, they won in Seattle. Clyde Lovellette, MVP.
Beat St. John's out there in 1952.
And that North Carolina connection again. Frank McGuire, the coach of St. John's, then went down to North Carolina, comes back and beats them in 57. It's amazing when you get around these storied programs, the great history of college basketball, the Kansas connections, the North Carolinas and Kentuckys and UCLAs.
Oh, yeah.
All these teams that are moving towards that Final Four.
0 for 2 at that end. And that 52 Kansas team on the roster named Dean Smith.
Right. Oh, a nice backdoor cut set up for Thomas. Good defense by Williford. Clear out for Vaughn.
Ooh, Vaughn, nice move. A lot of whistles here in the second half.
That was as fine a move as you can make as a backcourt player, and then as fine a defensive recovery as you can have. Look at Dean. Look at how quickly he got himself back there. Vaughn looking to pass all the way. Watch Dean move his feet. He doesn't get twisted. Bounces right back in there.
Second whistle on Dean. Pollard, good shot. Ooh, Thomas could have saved it, but he thought it was last touch by Virginia. Talk about this Kansas crowd. It's really, Billy, been quieted down tonight.
The reason,
reticent here.
Yeah, the reason it's quiet, Jim, is Virginia's been able to keep it into a half-court set. It's never been into a running frenzy type action, with the exception of when Kansas made that little comeback right before the half. Boy, there's some really tough screens taking place.
And that's a travel call. We'll reach the under 16-minute timeout. 3-point Virginia lead at halftime. 3-point Virginia lead at the first break of the second half.
Grandpa Shaq, tell us how basketball used to be.
Well, the basket wasn't always 20 feet tall.
What about 100-yard courts?
Not even close.
What happened?
All Sport.
All Sport. Unsurpassed taste. A third more carbs than Gatorade for energy. This is a body quencher.
After All Sport, the game was a breeze. Until they put in the moving basket.
All Sport. The game will never be the same.
Any insurance agent knows lightning can strike any day. Fortunately, your Allstate agent knows it can strike any night, too. So if it does, you can call your agent anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A claims specialist is standing by to help you right away. If your insurance can't deliver claim service day or night, in a flash, maybe you should switch. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Thanks to Sprint Business, now the world is flat. Introducing flat rate pricing for small businesses on all your long distance, even for Sprint 800 service. Enhanced fax and cellular long distance. One low flat rate for everything all over the country, so you know just what you're paying.
Now that's simple.
Call now for flat rate pricing. 1-800-827-3700. Call Sprint Business.
At Chevrolet, we feel everyone, regardless of income, deserves a safe car. That's why we equip the all-new Lumina LS with dual air.
UCLA in the West, followed by Carolina, Kentucky.
Almost a steal, but a re-steal. Watch his footwork, Jim. Oh, he gets it blocked. Nice job by Pollard. He didn't go for it.
Pollard, an old volleyball player from high school. Spiked that one out of the middle.
I bet you Haas is wondering if Staples got in his T-shirt today. I mean, he's almost wearing the same uniform. Haas cannot get a shot off.
Got another #1 seed in trouble. Wake Forest already going down tonight. And with that hoop right there by Barnes, Virginia leads the 1 seed in the Midwest, Kansas, by 5.
Jim Robinson is really an explosive driver with the ball. Had a great ACC tournament last year. People expected stardom out of him this year, and it hadn't happened. That was Dean.
Dean saves it.
Whoa, what a play. Roy Williams say he was over his back, but that was a sensational play by Dean.
I think Roy might have a good argument on that one. Haas hits the floor again.
Was that Barnes? Barnes setting a screen on Haas, trying to come out to catch up to Staples, and they call it a solid screen foul. Let's see, Dean.
Oh, yeah.
I think, yep. A
little bit.
I was wrong on that one. He did hit him.
That's the 3rd foul on Yuri Barnes at the other end of the floor.
But, you know, Jones is doing what Roy Williams normally does, and that is he's using up fouls with interior players. Yuri Barnes going to stay in there with 3.
UMass by 25. UMass at Oak State Sunday in the East Regional Final. Vaughn, 3-pointer. First of the night for Kansas. They won't take it away this time.
Without question, he's behind the line, a good foot. Outstanding player. First team all-conference in the Big 8. Great guard. Oh, bad shot.
Robinson, really, of course.
Virginia got lucky on that play. That was a bad shot by Robinson. No need to take it. I think he just got frustrated.
First 6 minutes of the second half, Virginia has scored 5. Kansas 6. A lot of whistles, a lot of turnovers. Start out the second half. Staples.
Good defense by Kansas. Staples and Robinson both taking, I think, ill-advised 3.
Haas still has not made a shot from the floor. Only 1 point on the night.
Both teams get back on defense so well. You don't get any easy baskets.
Burrow, he'll challenge Ostertag.
There's that footwork I talked about. Got the 7-footer up in the air.
12 for Junior Burrow. Oh, what ball handling right there.
You know what he does, Jim? He comes in behind guys running down the court. Then he puts the defense at disadvantage and goes right on by him. Brilliant play.
38-36 Virginia. Burrow, tough shot left hand. 2 players on the floor, no whistle.
And here's a chance for Haas to put up a jumper. Haas found Williams. You think you're seeing Kansas on a run here? Virginia looking a little tired coming back down court. They've taken some bad shots the last 3 or 4 occasions down.
Kansas has come back from a 9-point deficit from the first half to now tied at 38.
Can't believe the shot selection by Virginia.
First it was Robinson with a bad shot. Now Dean. Kansas has only led one time at 14-13. Gotta watch the shot clock.
Vaughn's going to go by. He's going by.
Oh, what a play by Dean. Oh, they call the shot.
Wait a minute. No.
Virginia already had possession, was off to the hoop.
I don't know why they would stop that play. Virginia had possession. I'm pretty sure. Let's see, Jim. If knew Vaughn was going to put it up. Let's see if they gained possession. Nope, they sure didn't.
Good call.
If he had possession before it reached the 0, Virginia would have gone the other way. Jeff Jones calls for a little 1-4 high set. Try to get better shots than they've had.
Burrow right underneath. Right back in his face. Ostertag.
What defense we're seeing here.
Dean slicing through. Virginia back in front by 2. Slapped outside to Junior Burrow. Virginia bypassing the break opportunity.
They just don't want to get into a run-shoot game. There was an opportunity maybe to go for the break. Burrow really tired out there now as his Ostertag, but he knows he's got Pollard coming in for him in the next few seconds. Hand check Vaughn. Jim, you were talking before about the great histories of these schools. I'll throw one out at you. We'll see this little hand check by Vaughn called early in the ball game. Boy, that was just a touch, wasn't it?
Well, save me that cheap one. Save me that little nugget. We'll be right back. Virginia up 2.
Most manufacturers show their 4-wheel drives in places where, quite honestly, you'll...
Shooting percentages in the 30s. Haas with 2 free throws is all. Burrow 12 points, 5 of 16 from the field.
Jim, there's so many reasons why coaches call timeout. Right now in this game, Virginia needed that timeout just to get their breath. Kansas was on a good roll. He used his body.
That timeout, though, Billy, was a television timeout under 12. So.
I realize that. What I'm saying, though, is that a lot of times timeouts are used for various strategies. That one was a good rester for Virginia.
Foul on Alexander right here, his 4th.
But again, Jeff Jones willing to let Alexander and Nolan foul, bang inside, cause problems for Pollard and Ostertag, just as they normally do for the opponent.
Well, they've got Yuri Barnes in there now, so Barnes and Burrow, the 2 big bodies for Virginia right now.
It's amazing, Dean and Vaughn, the stamina those 2 young guys have going head-to-head against each other. Very seldom come out of the game, if ever. Vaughn took that little, a couple of little blows. I don't know if Dean's been out of the game yet.
Gurley, co-captain, and who can fire a 3 for him. Been a ragged second half here at Kemper Arena. 42-38, Virginia leading.
It's clear out now for Vaughn.
Sets up Gurley. Here's the 3-point shooter.
And Roy Williams saying, do I have anybody other than Vaughn that can hit a shot from the perimeter?
Burrow puts him up 6.
There's that footwork again, but Burrow, Jim, is really tired. He is dragging coming up and down this floor. Virginia playing that play very similar to what Indiana did against Kansas, guarding the man at the key.
Pollard had 3 men around him, which altered the shot.
Burrow now just walking down the floor.
Under 10 minutes to go. We've already had a 4-1 tonight. A 4-1 combo here with Virginia on top 44-38.
Jim, I was mentioning these teams that have won over 1,000 college games. Virginia is certainly not one of them. In 1928, they won 20 games. They didn't win 28 games again until 44 years later. So that was the difference between what was going on at Kansas, the Kentuckys, UCLA's, and Virginia. A guy named Bill Gibson is the guy that came to Virginia, and although he got a lot of abuse initially, he's the man that really turned this program around.
Dean baseliner. Barnes hit a body on the way up.
I got you, 31, you're a shooter.
And they're going to have Pollard at the other end.
Who's had his problems at the foul line.
Yep, it'll be a 1-1. That's the 4th on Yuri Barnes. 4 on Barnes, 4 on Alexander.
And here comes Nolan in the game, so here's 5 more fouls that Jeff Jones figures he can use it. 15 fouls he had to play with at that position between Barnes and Alexander and Nolan.
Nolan has 1 foul on the night. Now a 1-1 situation for Pollard. It's a 2 out of 4.
And his job is to screen, to bang, and to try to keep people off the boards. Another miss.
The save there. Pollard knocks it over to Barnes. 3-point corner shot in and out and in.
First one that Haas has had tonight where Staples hadn't been right in his face. And it all worked on the miss. Here's a 1-3-1 half-court trap. First time Kansas has used it tonight.
First shot from the field to drop tonight for Haas. Staples, he'll fire it. Gets it right back.
That's the problem. If a team can go up and pass over the top of the 1-3-1, you've got a shooter like that on the wing. Good job by Virginia to recognize the defense and execute against it.
Staples has now gunned for 15 on the game.
Notice how they're not guarding the center who steps out at the foul line.
Dumping it in. Pollard blocked it. Boy, a couple of them rattling in, out, and in again.
Using all of the rim.
47-43. Wahoos with 8:10 remaining.
Well, we've had one Big 8 ACC game tonight. Here's another one.
Burrow. Williford right there.
Left hand.
Burrow comes back in.
Left hand.
How about Burrow? Tired. Misses the jumper. Comes in after the miss by Williford and gets the 2. Over. Wide open. Thomas 3.
And Jim, how about how Vaughn gets in there and then dishes back out, but because nobody's making the shots, they can't take advantage of his tremendous ball handling.
Kansas 2 out of 15 from the 3-point line. 7:25 remaining. Over the top, Nolan, and stolen away by Haas.
Nolan's got to make the catch first. Vaughn can make some jumpers. Both teams are getting tired. It's been such a physical battle.
LaPrance too strong. Under 7 to go. Virginia walking it up with the 6-point lead.
And Kansas walking it back. Look at Pollard bending over. He's exhausted.
Jeff Jones says, let's take a timeout, catch our breath. Some kind of battle here tonight. Virginia and Kansas. Kansas really playing also kind of how Roy Williams has felt all week under the weather.
Right, Jim, you pointed out that he attended practice but sat in the stands 2 days ago. Virginia tired both of these. It's a real gut check game right now. There's been such incredible defensive tenacity, solid screens all over the floor. We'll see which team can suck it up the best the rest of the way.
What's your hunch? Burrow, left-hander, and partially.
Ostertag got a piece. Virginia's ball.
Do you have a hunch which team can suck it up at this point?
No, I'll tell you what. I think we've got A lot of championship hearts out there, Jim. I don't see any indication yet that one's ready to bowl.
Dean is in the baseliner. Ostertag.
Ostertag's rested. He's been sitting on the bench. It was Pollard that had to carry the last 6 minutes.
Williford called for the push-off. And that'll send Gurley to the line.
Jeff Jones hollering down there to use your head. Don't commit the foul that's so obvious. And you'll see Williford right here trying to stop Gurley without question. That's a foul.
Gurley to the line for a 1-and-1.
Now Nolan out, Alexander in.
Kansas tonight from the line. An anemic 5 for 15.
Well, Jim, in our opening game tonight, Memphis against Arkansas, we talked about their battles, that either team could have walked away with an easy victory. They make the free throws. And Kansas could have been in that position tonight. Like to have that senior on the line.
Virginia leads by 4.
Gurley shooting right at 86%. Maybe one of the reasons he's out there now down the stretch. Coming out for the trap, just as they did before the end of the first half. Williams not strong enough. No way he can handle that matchup with Burrow. Burrow has shown when he's up against Ostertag, he plays outside. He'll watch Williams. And Burrow be like a fly on his back right here, taking him inside, kind of like Corliss Williamson does when he gets a smaller man on him. Now the switch is back.
There's the 5th team foul against Kansas.
Another mismatch here now on the inside. Alexander's being guarded by Vaughn.
Dean, big 3 there. Virginia.
Kansas got caught on a mismatch switch, and Vaughn couldn't get out in time.
52-45 Cavaliers. Wow. Ostertag, easy 2.
Another great pass by Vaughn. Remember the eye contact he had before.
Twice over the top in his hand.
Hash just will get out there so quickly. Staples and he have been shadowing each other on both ends of the floor.
Virginia 5-point lead, 5 minutes to go. Burrow wanting baseline, shut off there by Ostertag. Now under 10 on the shot clock.
Staples points. Staples not good at beating a guy on the dribble.
Williford just up in time. 1 second on the shot clock, and you hear it expire as the ball goes through the net.
Iverson to Donald Reed. Wittenberg to Lorenzo Charles.
Shot gone up high over Alexander, who had designs on rejecting that one.
Trading baskets now. Kind of interesting. The Dean recognized the trap.
Sets open Williford. Alexander there, saves it. Staples releases the 3. Alexander for a second time keeps it alive.
Boy, Jeff Jones' heart beating with Alexander controlling the ball. You can tell he didn't want him handling it.
Dean says, hold on a minute, everybody. Let's use this clock. 4 minutes remaining. Burrow wants it. He's got the slender Williams on him. Twist move, and that should be goaltending.
Well, let's see. I think awful close.
They'll call a foul on Williams,
but no referee has even given an indication it's goaltending.
Nope, they're going to have him shoot 2 at the line.
Obviously, you're allowed to put the ball on the backboard. Let's see. I think it's on the way down, don't you?
I'm not sure he touched it.
Oh, he never touched it. How about that? It definitely was on the way down, but that was the strangest looking shot from our angle. Looked like he had a piece. Good no call by the official.
Burrow for 2. Junior with 10 rebounds tonight.
Boy, you see how strong these 2 leagues are when a guy like Burrow is a second-team all-conference player, huh?
We'll get back to trying to tell you who's the better center in that league when you had Wallace, Duncan, and Smith. What a trifecta. Speaking of trifectas, not this time.
Oh, that trail again. Referee got to stop the action here. It's 5-on-4.
Really hurt this time.
Good move by the referee. They should have stopped it earlier. That's twice tonight this young man has gone to the floor. That time you could hear it from here. You know what, Jim? Now, Jim, the rule on this for referees, they can stop the play at any time. But let me explain something here. If a man is not...
Oh, back of his head just splattered against the floor.
But here's the rule, Jim. If the player is no longer in any danger, and in this particular case, he was all the way down that end by himself, he wasn't in further danger, but I think the referees did the right thing, stopping the action.
All right, TV timeout under 4 minutes. Virginia by 7 with possession.
When I am alone in the half-light of the canyon, all existence fades to a being with my soul and memories. And the sounds of the big Blackfoot River, and the hope that a fish will rise.
I do not play bingo.
I am not shrinking. I'm not strong for my age. I'm strong.
I will retire for the night.
But I will begin again tomorrow.
I will never say, I've fallen and I can't get up.
I am wrinkled and I am gray.
But I'm not old.
Nine to 5. Nobody keeps those hours anymore. Breakfast is now the most important meal of the business day. But sometimes you need more than coffee to start your day. You need an important package. Introducing UPS Early AM Delivery. Not just by 10:30, but by 8:30 a.m. guaranteed. The business day may seem endless, but at least now you know when it can begin. UPS, moving at the speed of business.
Want to see next year's Final Four from a better seat? Get the March Madness meal deal with free wings, a free NCAA tournament guidebook, and a chance to win tickets to next year's Final Four. Who knows? These seats could be yours.
If you believe all motor oils are the same, why do you suppose one brand of motor oil is the #1 choice of America's top mechanics for use in their own cars and trucks? Which brand? Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline.
And now a brief message from the man you've made #1 in late night.
God bless you, America!
The Late Show, America's #1 choice.
Jared Haas gets a minute on the bench to get his head back into it.
I think his back is hurting him, Jim.
Ooh, almost a turnover there.
Out of bounds.
Tie-up situation call, and the arrow still belongs to Virginia. He got popped in the head.
Yep. Kansas running some good double teams. Now, they have a team on the floor right now that's kind of fresh. Gurley's fresh. Williams, Thomas. Look for them to trap a little bit more here. 3:29 to go.
Virginia has 17 on the shot clock.
Here comes that trap.
Boy, got him to commit. He'll shoot a couple.
He is so strong and so tough.
Haas, speaking of tough, coming right back in.
And he's got to be hurt. I mean, we heard him hit that ground. And here's Harold Dean taking it on inside. He's going to try to draw the foul here. Not worry about the shot till he feels the contact and then put it up. Smart player, tough player. Will be one of the best guards in the United States next year without question.
Man who shoots many free throws during the season, but only one tonight until now.
Now that's the difference in this game so far, Jim. 4 free throw shooting by Kansas.
has missed 10 in all 7 out of 17. 2 for 2 at this end for Virginia.
Well, that's Dean's 213th foul on the year.
Virginia back to its largest lead, matching at 9 in the first half. Ostertag, fade away.
Not his shot.
Under 3 minutes remaining.
Now Kansas really going to have to take some chances with their trap. See if Dean recognizes the men running out at him. Trap off the first pass. You wait to see what they're going to do here. Smart move by Dean.
Dean looks up, sees the shot clock.
Down to 6.
Drive. Nope, he's going to pull up 3.
Took a little bit too much time there to get a better play.
Hand check called against Harold Dean.
That was just great ball handling by Vaughn. Right in front of Dean's face. He put that ball between his legs.
The crowd is so quiet, has been taken so much out of this game tonight. You look up, and there's only 2:23 remaining in this game.
Jim, credit a lot of that to the style that Jeff Jones has established for this game. Never allowed it to get into a run and shoot, exciting dunks, layups, fast breaks. He just wouldn't allow it to happen.
Robinson for Barnes. Substitution for Virginia. Kansas can't afford empty trips now. Down 9. This is a 1-and-1. And yet another miss.
And loose ball.
Missing the front end. Robinson. Double-digit lead for the Cavaliers.
Good look by Dean. You're thinking about letting the clock go. You see a guy wide open. Good opportunity. That's Barnes on Pollard. Jeff Jones does not want fouls. We see Roy Williams over there. You can tell just his face, Jim. He's very peaked.
So much made, though, of Kansas coming to this building.
Yep.
Getting an unfair advantage.
You know, they are 20-1 in this building against non-conference opponents. Of course, we remember that one against Connecticut. But Roy said, hey, you got to win games. I thought the court would be a factor for him.
Roy said, hey, I've just as soon have gone to Maui.
Yeah.
I'd like to have covered that regional.
Well,
Pollard wanted to. 2 minutes, 60-50, Virginia.
Here comes that trap.
Burrow.
Ooh, bad shot, isn't it? Yeah. Surprising they take that. Had a lot of time left.
Quick 3 here, Gurley. Kansas just awful from the field, from the free throw line tonight.
Jim, I think that Virginia would be wise if they know they're going to face that trap the rest of the way, to get Staples out on the wing, fire the ball over the trap, then ricochet it back out to him and let him take the 3. They don't want Barnes taking it. They want him to be the guy rebounding.
40% from the line for the Jayhawks. Thomas to shoot 2. 60-50. Let's remember this. 1:31 remaining.
The foul stopped the clock. Big help here for Kansas. Let's see if they press a little bit full court.
Timeout, Kansas.
I think they're going to set up full court pressure here.
60-52. Will the second #1 seed of the night lose?
Bill.
Now's a good time to rush to McDonald's for a 99-cent bacon double cheeseburger with smoky, savory bacon, or a morning fresh bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, 99 cents each, just for a limited time.
Fine.
Come again.
So do what NASCAR driver Bill Elliott does. Hurry.
24.
If I serve him up,
Jeez, what you been eating?
will you say to me now that you will cut me loose for all time? Do you want my hand on it or something?
You got something to say?
I will do whatever I have to do to protect me and mine.
Don't push, all right? David Caruso, Samuel L. Jackson, and Nicolas Cage. Kiss of Death. Rated R. Starts Friday, April 21st at theaters everywhere.
To perfect the all-new 1995 Monte Carlo, we spent countless hours adjusting the audio controls. You see, Monte Carlo was designed from the inside out to be your own personal space, so every interior detail had to be in harmony. Paying attention to something as small as the texture of a control is what makes Monte Carlo seem more like, say, a $40,000 car than one that costs half that much. Which also makes the new Monte Carlo a genuine Chevrolet.
If you and your wife are off to beautiful Kauai, Visa Gold's purchase power can pay for every romantic moment.
Hi, honey. Finally came down.
Not to mention a new pair of glasses.
I wanted to tell you how much I'm enjoying this second honeymoon. And that I love you.
Thank you. Because Jenkins Optical can make new glasses in an hour, but they won't take American Express.
Who's that?
Visa Gold.
I've never seen him before in my life.
They've all had outstanding seasons. College basketball's players and coaches are rewarded for their excellence at the Van Naismith Awards Sunday on CBS.
All right, Roy Williams calling the timeout. 60-52, Virginia ball. Each team with 2 timeouts.
Jim, look for the full court pressure here. I thought they might try it without guarding the man in bounds. Virginia thinking about going long.
Double up Staples. And Virginia breaks it. Williams on the foul. Staples a 1-and-1.
Just 1-and-1. Virginia 2 more before they are into the automatic 2. Kansas has been there for a while. Couldn't get the steal on the inbounds. It was close. Roy Williams upset.
Staples 75% free throw shooter.
Kind of interesting. Roy Williams not the first choice to take the job after Larry Brown at Kansas. And of course, Jeff Jones definitely not the first choice at Virginia. They went through everybody to get to him. They talked to Pete Gillen. They talked to Rick Barnes. They talked to Bruce Parkhill. They talked to Mike Montgomery and said, you know, maybe we'll give it to our assistant coach, Jeff Jones, and look the job he's done. Nice release.
Staples.
The difference in this game has been the free throws.
Yes. I don't know how he's seeing straight at this point with the faults he's had.
Gutty performance on his part. That's the other thing that's really hurt Kansas tonight. They never could get anything going from the perimeter.
Easily breaking the press. Double up on Staples. He's back to the line for another 1-on-1.
Staples looking for somebody to pass to. Is being guarded by 3 men. Now you see Burrow out there saying, fella, I'm wide open. Give the ball up.
Here's the lineup tomorrow. The Division II championship. Followed by the road to the Final Four. West Regional Final from Oakland, UConn, UCLA, then Carolina, Kentucky, and Birmingham. Speaking of Division II championships, this man's father won one back in 1973 at Kentucky Wesleyan, Bob Jones.
I believe Jeff is the only guy to coach in a winning NIT situation and to play in one as well. He versus Ralph Sampson's freshman year. Virginia won the NIT before going to the Final Four the next year. And the day that Ronald Reagan got shot, they played the consolation game.
He'll shoot 3.
Bad foul by Robinson. They're lucky that they've got enough points to work with here, Jim, because that was not a smart foul. I mean, particularly the way Kansas has been shooting from the outside. You let them take that shot. Thomas will get 3. Wasn't it Texas Southern that had a chance to beat Arkansas? They could have hit all 3 and made 2 out of 3.
6 seconds to go.
Yep.
Fouled in the act of a 3-point shot.
Right.
Made the first 2, missed the third. It would have tied it.
Right. And this gives, if he can make this shot, gives Kansas a chance for another full court press.
And that's an 8-point game. 58 seconds remaining. C.B. McGrath comes in.
Roy Williams is going to go for steals and put Virginia on the foul line as quickly as possible. Now, see, here's what I thought they'd do before. Not guard the man taking the ball in bounds.
Looking for the 3. Looking for the 3. Pass from the corner. Into Thomas's hands.
6-point game. They call a timeout. 2 possessions, a lot of time.
Pass, stole it, and Kansas has cut it to 6.
Truckin' Magazine's Truck of the Year. A Consumer's Digest Best Buy. Popular Mechanics Design and Engineering Award. Kiplinger's Best New Utility Vehicle. And the 1995 North American Truck of the Year. Yep, the new Chevy Blazer really cleaned up at the awards this year.
The night is young. No trendy health club. No $60 shorts. No bull. Speed Stick. Its no-nonsense formula never quits. It works and works. Protects all day, no matter what. Speed Stick for 110% protection. Like you, it never quits.
By Mennen.
In an era when doctors don't make house calls and shopping is done in impersonal strip malls, why does John Deere have dealers that still deliver, that help you with parts and service, and answer questions on lawn care? Are we behind the times, or just prouder of the products we stand behind? To find out, why not ask your John Deere dealer? He's right where you need him.
Is Frank falling for Rita?
Come on, Frank, an idiot to see that you're jealous. It's obvious to me. Yep.
Spend Saturday night at The Office on CBS.
Whenever a man's taking a ball out of bounds and not being guarded, the best thing to do is to step out of bounds, throw it here, step back, and then get it right here. That is what Virginia has an opportunity to do here, because Kansas, as you see, is not guarding the man taking a ball out of bounds.
Right.
Burrow can run the end line, but even easier, pass to a teammate out of bounds. Foul on Williams, trying to beat Dean to the ball, so the clock doesn't move. Dean goes to the line.
2. Shooting 2. That's the 10. It's 2 the rest of the way.
And Jim, you go back to that foul on the 3-point shot, which really hurt Virginia. They were in a good position.
They were up 11.
Yep. Virginia not executing very well on that full court pressure. Dean looks like he's hurting a little bit when he got hit.
Really found the floor. Kansas tonight from the field, 36%, which matches its season low in a game against Indiana.
Well, remember the season low. We got a team going for the Final Four. Connecticut shot under 30% on this floor.
27%.
Yep.
Kansas State in a game here in the Big 8 tournament shot only 27% against Kansas also.
Round, yeah. Yuri Barnes going in. Jeff Jones, both coaches trying to get some matchup situations here.
2 for Dean. The Iron Man for the Cavaliers.
Jim, I believe he sat down for a matter of maybe 10 seconds at the end of the first half. That's the only time I remember him being out of the game.
They got him for a minute 10 on the bench in the first half. Yep. He averages almost 39 minutes a game. Vaughn racing on the drive, and Burrow pulls it away.
Got it right. Somebody long, wide open.
It's Willibert. Staples on the wing. No hurry here for Virginia.
And that's a good foul against Barnes. I think that's one you go and put away, Jim, to make the layup. 30 seconds to go. You add the 2 points, uncontested layup.
Billy, tomorrow's lineup. Tomorrow we begin the games with the travel plans to Seattle, UConn, UCLA, and then in the Southeast final, we'll find out if Mr. Smith is going to Washington, Seattle, that is, for Dean and the Tar Heels against Kentucky.
You know, I think back and we saw the play. I think back of Roy Williams at North Carolina when Michael Jordan played his final game with, and when they got upset by Indiana, only for Indiana then to get knocked off by Virginia and move their self on to the Final Four.
1984.
84, right?
Year after Ralph.
Right.
Holden Pavanis. Pass.
Well, a smart play by Dean, going the other direction. Use the clock. Big win for the Cavaliers.
You can set it up now. Virginia and Arkansas will be the final piece to the puzzle on Sunday afternoon. Oklahoma State over Wake Forest is not a shock to many, but this one is. Except
to my broadcast partner. Jim, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
No. We don't have to get into that.
You were all over things tonight. You said that Memphis would make a charge in the second half and would take a lead.
I do have the final 8 from the night of the selection show in the final 8.
It's incredible.
Trying to break the tie in the seeding deal you and I had.
Well, tonight, Kansas foul shooting came back to haunt them. Perimeter shooting, where they never could get Pearson off the track. His slump continued. A great defensive job by Staples on Haas so that he couldn't get the three-point shot going. Vaughn did his job, but nobody could make the shots.
Ostertag closing out a career here at Kansas. And with Prince to the line for a couple. Kansas 2 of 21 from 3.
Unbelievable.
UCLA, UConn. UConn has come to life out west. Donnie Marshall has had a terrific tournament.
And Jim, Kansas shooting 36% on the year from 3. There's a Kentucky-North Carolina matchup, as you pointed out. But, you know, a 36% three-point shooting team, pretty solid as a ball club. But tonight, they didn't hit anything. And the free throw line, which they have not been good at all year, it just came back to haunt them.
Now 13 of 26. T.J. Watley.
50% from the free throw line.
Enters the game for Kansas.
Sad moment for Gurley going out. He and Ostertag had
tell you, Billy, I know a lot of people who had this team tearing down the nets in Seattle on April the 3rd. And now Ostertag realizing he's wearing a Kansas uniform for the last time.
It's amazing. You can see the emotion just drains people.
One shot, Mike!
Kansas has been on the spring break.
Crowd favorite for Kansas. The man who experienced the Final Four, Greg Ostertag.
Yep.
Now Virginia dictated the pace. People said they couldn't do it, but they have. They have come to Kansas City and eliminated the #1 seed in the Midwest. Sunday afternoon, 5 o'clock Eastern time at Kemper Arena. Virginia and Arkansas for the last spot in the Final Four. Double-double, 18 and 12. Jock Vaughn from Kansas takes the honors, 13 points, 7 assists. Billy Packer alongside the winning coach, Jeff Jones.
Jeff, one of the real battles, physical battles I've seen this year in college basketball, but your guys were up to the task.
Well, we were. We anticipated it being a very physical game. We're physical. Kansas is physical. Neither team was going to back down, so we knew it would be that kind. And fortunately, I guess for us, the officials let us play.
One of the things that we saw tonight, I think, are two of the finest guards in America, both young players, but both extremely talented and really great competitors. What do you think about Harold Dean?
Well, Harold's just, he's a great kid. He's a great competitor. He and Vaughn are both so powerful, and they are small packages, but they're just so strong. And I think when Jacques got his third foul, Harold just kind of took it upon himself to take the ball into the lane. He hit some big shots that gave us enough breathing room to hold on.
I'm going to give you a little credit in regard to teaching and fundamentals. I don't think I've ever seen a player improve as much with his footwork as Junior Burroughs has in his time at Virginia. How hard have you guys worked at that?
Well, we've worked hard. We work hard with all of the guys, but Junior has a lot of ability, and you know, I think the hard work on his part, and we've got some pretty good coaches on the staff, and you know, I think it's paid off. He's a pretty good player.
Great year so far. You got some more to go. Nice going.
All right, thank you, Billy.
Jimmy.
All right, Billy, it's got to be a wild scene now back in Charlottesville. For Kansas, only 40 miles from campus, but it'll be a long 40-mile drive home tonight. Virginia and Arkansas advance from Kansas City. For Billy Packer, Pat O'Brien, George Rattling, Clark Kellogg, all of us at CBS Sports. Jim Nance saying, see you this weekend on the road to the Final Four.
I've stopped playing.